Auto drive now enabled.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Upload. We're talking about the Optic and how it's changed our lives. Now, as you remember, Bloom announced a new version of the Optic at the recent Tone conference. Too much about that since, due to the dramatic events there. Let's cast our minds back and consider the technology. I mean, the Optic changed everything. It lets you see things in AR. You no longer need a smartphone. You just have...
Yeah, old man's live on the scene.
Good. The stolen organs should be in an
Auto-drive now
ambulance
disabled.
on site. That's the vehicle you're looking for there.
Initiating shutdown on this spider bot.
Moving on.
Spider bot sighted in the area. Lost the trail. The hacker.
Some good spot for some art. man's a proper artist now.
Don't just stand there, look around.
There's more to this. There has to be.
I think that's that. Stop looking.
Click, boom, done. Yo, got me the whip, cuz. Where's it going?
I suppose our friend would like it if you took the organs to a hospital, but you could also technically eat them. I don't have a strong opinion either way.
Auto drive now enabled. Auto drive now disabled. Auto drive now enabled.
Stability and justice. They weren't perfect, but at least there was some democratic control.
Auto drive
Now
now
there's a
enabled.
new sheriff in town. If you're a victim of crime or you just want to silence a peaceful protest, there's a new police force to turn to. Albion. And they're about as far from the old-fashioned Bobby on the beat as it's possible to get. When Hassani handed over London to Nigel Cass, many people were surprised. But we weren't. London has been up for sale and privatisation for years. The only difference is that now the private companies have guns. So how did it happen? What does it mean? How can we reverse it? And what's the price of justice? On Buccaneer, we conceal everyone's full names for their own safety. Here's Helen, who investigated policing, civil rights and justice in pre-crisis Britain.
One of the kind of classic hallmarks of a fascist leader is having their own private army or police force. You know, it is in a democracy, the state tends to have a monopoly on violence, and that's not what happens when a state fails. You know, you end up with people running their own private militias, and we've seen this all over the world. You know, every kind of great dictator in history has had basically their own jackbooted set of guys that they can send in to rough up people who annoy them. And that's the danger of a force like Albion. You know, you start taking powers to yourself, and actually who is in charge of telling you no? It's always a worrying sign when you see, say, a president surrounding themselves with... because that sort of suggests that they want to run the country like you run a war, and in a war you have to be incredibly hierarchical. You know, you have to be top down. People essentially have to obey orders because that's the only way that you can make that work. That's not how it works normally in a democracy, and that's the problem, really. where normal peacetime checks and balances are suspended, and that's really scary.
Is policing ever politically neutral? We spoke to academic Alfie, all names on the down low, of course, about the politics of law and order.
I think it's very important to consider the changes that have happened in public space in London. I mean, the honest answer is there hardly is any shared public communal space anymore. Everything is privatised, owned by corporations and companies, and it's very difficult to feel that the space is our own to use. And essentially, you can be moved on from any area by forces which are employed to police the private area for corporate profit rather than for a community's overall well-being and shared livelihood. So I think what you're looking at overall is a
Auto-drive now
situation where it's
disabled.
now completely impossible to distinguish between a kind of state police or a police which operates in the service of the community and one which operates to protect private interests, which leads us to the situation we've got with something like Albion today. A private police force gives you a very different kind of justice to what you might have in a former society, such as one with a state or government-run police force. And it makes you wonder if, of course it's obvious when it comes to an active police force, if it's enforcing the rules of the privatised state, then it's more likely to act in their interests rather than those of kind of ethics and morality for the greater good. But it also makes you wonder about the entire justice and legal system underpinning such a police
Auto-drive now
force.
enabled.
Do the courts and justice systems also share the ethics and morals of the privatised companies who employ them, and therefore, is a kind of equal and fair ethics or justice completely gone today?
So there we are. Indifferent to them.
Well done. I'll let the hospital staff know about this special delivery while you call our hacker friend.
Boom.
Good work. Now the rich can wait and die in the same bloody queue as the rest of us unwashed.
Why don't you join DedSec? You know you wanna.
Yeah,